you from New Jersey, the capital of misery and the place where metal forgot to die. This is once again the Here Lies Metal Too Many Notes new music review. As you can see, now with bisexual lighting forever. So we have me, Maledictus, and
I'm Samantha,
and we shall be your reviewers for today and all of eternity. Welcome. And what are we reviewing today? This is special.
We are here to review the EP by World Eaters, Grinding Advance. World Eaters is a death metal one-man band from Guelph, Ontario.
I don't know where that is.
Guelph? How do you say that? Guelph? You're from there.
I am not from there. Right? That's a long story, but I have rights to be there. Guelph. Comment down below. Guelph.
Our one man is Mr. David Gupta, who plays guitar, bass, vocals, keys, mandolin, and drum programming. So we don't have to guess.
He told us.
Right out and told us.
He told us. Thank you. I like asking.
This project was started in March 2020 in response to being locked up. First thing he did, start his one-man death metal band. Unlike notably other one-man outfits, he seems to like to have guests, particularly from his local scene, to keep it alive in this time of plague.
Well, yeah, what did you do in the pandemic? This guy made an album straight up. What did you do? So no excuses.
And this is his first EP after his 2020 demo and a few splits. It's a very beefy EP though. We've got 3 songs plus a bonus track. We're coming in around 25 minutes, which is as notable as many albums we review. So
perfect. I love it.
All right, and it's coming out on June 18th, and I think we're putting this up beforehand because he's currently doing a fundraiser, I think, for Pride Gulf, a local LGBT organization in his local area. So, and you may still pre-order cassettes. His first cassette order sold out, so that's pretty awesome. But you can still put in pre-orders through June 18th, not after, and then there's no more cassettes.
Look at that. Isn't that he never played
there's no more donating.
He never played a live show with this and he sold out the cassettes. That is great. I love the idea of that. That's awesome.
Cassettes.
And he never even saw you. He just sold his cassettes. You bought them and you loved it. So
and also if you don't, if you're not close to Canada, with the download on Bandcamp, you get the J card. You can make your own cassette.
There you go. With your printer or your Xerox copy or whatever.
Pretty cool. All right.
Okay, so now it's time for the Here Lies Metal 5-point bidirectional classification scale, including categories of genre loyalty, listenability, production style, musical complexity, and just plain fun. And remember, once again, neither side of these scales, right or left, mean good or bad. So what do we have first? We have true or non-conformist.
We're putting this on the pretty healthily into the non-conformist side of the scale. Because on the one hand, you might hear some of the riffs on this and be like, this is bolt thrower worship. Very bolt thrower worship. We've got very meaty, chunky riffs that have heavy grooves, that have some melody and not too brutal, rhythmic, dynamic. Real like, oh yeah, riffs, making the riff face kind of riffs. The riff face. The riff face.
The meme with the guy.
Gotta put a riff face in here right now.
That guy.
And it also has these like a keening melodic guitars on top, pretty common to that kind of death metal. And we've got a very true death metal growl vocal for the most part. However, David takes this as just a blueprint, really. He's definitely not afraid to push beyond this BT worship boundary. Like, he takes those both thrower riffs and, a lot of those, especially later both thrower riffs, have this kind of like maybe Middle Eastern quality to them. Like just a little tinge, but his on track 2, Expedition Tomb World, he takes that Middle Eastern flavor and he just kind of teases it out into this very slow study. It's very atmospheric. It features a bass clarinet, heavily affected bass clarinet. Our guest Piers Uval, or Uvi, apologies.
Yeah. In addition to the massive battle feel of the bolt thrower, the long defunct bolt thrower, I'm also hearing a bit. I'm hearing. This is just me. I was thinking of like Dan Swano and Edge of Sanity, especially like Purgatory Afterglow sound. Just what your sound. I don't know. This is just me. That's a really weird observation, but that's what was going into my head with that. But anyway, you're like, I've got these semi-melodic sort of guitar interjections placed in within the tracks. And that really kind of like elevated a lot of stuff for me. Now, I was really hoping, by the way, you mentioned the bass clarinet. I was really hoping that was a saxophone, but I was like, is that a saxophone? I'm gonna keep implying, that because I think metal needs more sax integration. But you did a lot of integration in this with different instruments. That's definitely like very progressive of you.
Yes,
for metal.
There's also a lot of synth work on this.
Mm-hmm.
An atmospheric synth's not unheard of in death metal, but there's also used in a melodic capacity. And maybe I'm false, but I can't really think of anything else that uses like that in death metal. Because, definitely, as much as we love the riffs here, there's also very heavy atmosphere, lots of layers, complementing guitar work. Fortunately, a little bit with black metal and some more like Far East flavors on track 3, Escape from the Underdark, which goes on to get extremely non-metal. I thought it almost sounded kind of like video game music.
Yeah, with that in mind, I feel like I had this industrial feel to which you could call video game music. I just felt this industrial cadence to it.
It's hard to place because I spend too much time listening to metal to understand other things. But it segues pretty well into the fourth song, which you're like, oh boy, is that a Kate Bush cover? And yes, it is.
Yeah, cool, Kate Bush.
However, I'm going to say, you're thinking, oh, great, the death metal cover of a pop song. This is not a jokey death metal cover of a pop song.
No, we're being ironic, right? Right?
He's got, is this a guest vocal, Justin Krachik, doing a very impassioned and beautiful clear vocal.
Yeah, they weren't laughing when they were doing it.
Yeah, and there is some death metal growls on the chorus in the backing vocals, backing death metal growls. But they definitely, sought to preserve the beauty of the original song. We're not having a joke here with the death metal pop cover. It's good. Yeah, it's good.
It was almost like those screamo bands where they have the singer and they have the guy screaming in the back. But I'm not comparing it to that. I'm just saying.
But I will say also, our non-conformist score is discounting the cover. It's non-conformist just on his original tracks alone.
Fair.
So, as we move on to our next scale, we're also not including the cover in the score. For our score of a 2 on the terror scale, pretty firmly sonic terror, not in the depths of terror, mainly because, as I said, this is a Bolt Thrower worship on the death metal, and Bolt Thrower, in my opinion, is the most listenable death metal band. So obviously we can't get too far down there, and the atmospheric parts, they just make it even more listenable and pleasant. So the most brutal part is definitely the vocal. The growl vocal is unrelenting.
Yeah, he keeps that, on. He doesn't really change that. Bolt Thrower is a death metal fun for the whole family. Always has been. Coolest covers ever. Look at the whole Bolt Thrower catalog. But 2 was a good number for World Eaters. That sax solo, the sax solo, and all the other synth accompaniments push this EP right to the right of the scale a little bit, because that's complicated stuff, right?
That would be very controversial if we put a death metal on the pop side.
Yeah. It's still, but it pushes us a little bit. That just gives us a little bit, you know what I mean. And but that relentless sawtooth, and I'm going to call it a sawtooth tone of the guitar and the bass equally. It's precisely aimed directly for a certain aural receptor within my hearing circuits. And when stimulated, the response is a diagnosis of sonic terror.
All right. Our next scale, the Fisher-Price to high production quality scale. What do we got?
Okay, so the recording is very grounded and shows anything is possible with like a simple home recording suite. And the artist, it's for once again, it's the artist, not the gear. Okay, like I don't want some guy out there who's like, oh, I can't make music, I have bad gear. Well, try listening to some people's albums then. All right, anything is possible. But both the I'm gonna mention this again, but the guitar and the bass, it's got a very rather fuzzy, midsy, almost digital feel. The guitar, the rhythm section, guitar and bass. And it kind of sounds almost like an industrial kind of metal sound in a way. And this is, and I'm going to have a reaction to this, and I don't know if it's positive or negative. Like I want to read, this is important, and this is where I want to reach out to you, the artist. If you comment down below, perhaps you'll watch this. Was that like a result of the interface? Was your guitar, was it through VST, or was it mic'd onto a real amp? if so, like what effects were used? Because I'm really curious how you got that sound, because some people like kind of get that sound kind of erroneously, and some people do it on purpose. So I'm curious as to how you did it. It's really my number one question. I have no questions here about the drums. Obviously samples were used, and you made that very clear, because that's something I'm always asking about. Because some people do fake drums really well, and I'm like, whoa, is that? But and you did a really good job on them. But you said they were fake. So, overall, we made lots of progress with what appears to be limited gear that you have. I don't know, you might have like the best gear ever, but this is the future. What you're doing is the future. So keep doing what you're doing, and I hope it's accessible to more people at home.
So you called it a sawtooth guitar tone. I actually really like that guitar tone. I don't know very much about tone, but
it's a tone that like I've heard people when they record like because they didn't do it right. But I'm not saying
it's a wrong tone.
Like if you like,
I liked it.
Kind of went directly into the thing without any sort of compensation, I guess.
I particularly liked it on the cover. I thought
it's a weird sound.
Served the cover well.
Yeah, I'm curious like how you did that, or why you did it, and how you got that sound.
Okay.
That's all I'm asking.
Our next scale, the note scale. We're just dipping our toes here into the too many notes area. We're on the too many notes side for sure. David's not trying to show off here with any particular performance, though I will shout out the very competent, well-constructed guitar solo, complementing beautifully the riff underneath it on track 1. But the score is mostly informed, this EP had this very compositional aspect to me. Every song felt very crafted, has a lot of layers, and if you're really listening, you can hear there's a lot going on. And so just for that, and all that attention to detail, we're in the notes. We're on the notes side.
Yeah, there's lots of like interlude accompaniments using a wide range of instruments, as we discussed before, clarinets to synths, within all 4 songs on the EP. And however, like the basic core riffs are plentiful and well crafted, even without those accompaniments. The songs aren't exactly short and sweet, but they require your undivided attention. For this EP, and there's 4 songs, but it's about quality, not quantity here. In between, we have plenty of filled opportunities for melodic guitar overlays. He's always kind of putting in, like well crafted solos, where they belong. On this, which elevates this EP to the many notes territory. I would say it definitely elevates it. I also want to mention, again for this section, the beats and riffs almost have an industrial synchronization to them. There's a very tight and precise sound, so that might also add to the score, because they're very very in their slots. Which gives it very industrial sound to it. So I'm not going to say like a Fear Factory sound, but kind of in that direction. So I'm just curious about that. So yeah.
All right, our last scale, the fun scale. We're pretty firmly in the fun camp here. We're a 2 for fun. First off, just to mention, we start out, there's an epic intro. It's got a speech. Credit goes to, I think it's the guest, Brock Boonstra, who's credited as Gravitas.
Rallying the troops for war. I
was like, what is Gravitas? And then I hear the speech.
Gravitas.
I was like, that must be it.
Gravitas.
Can you have an intro on an EP? The speech is a little silly. I'm assuming it's some kind of a Warhammer thing.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
What do you? Maybe he wrote it himself.
What do you think?
I always wanted to for that Warhammer thing. I always wanted to sort of get into that Warhammer 40K thing. Those little figurines. Look so cool. And I saw Sam showed me a picture of one of the things you have. That was really cool. Those little things are just so cool. But to elaborate, on the spoken word intro. Personally, I'm kind of tired of the themed album intros, and it's not a shot on you, but a lot of people have been doing something in the beginning of their album, some kind of thing. Like back in the old days, it used to just be like wind. Like you'd have a thrash album start, and you just hear.
Maybe some burning.
Like the sound of a fire. Something like that, or maybe a nuclear explosion, something. But now it's like a whole speech. So, but there's always something, and everyone's still doing this today. But that just goes with the territory, though. It's nothing new. Like it's been in metal, specifically metal music since the beginning. So why would?
But it's a fun thing.
Yeah, why would it end now?
But also because it's so heavily influenced by 40K, I think that's also pushing us in the fun scale for singing about a tabletop game. Not that I don't really know anything about Warhammer 40K though. maybe people might take it very seriously,
Sure.
so maybe it
Looks
shouldn't
like
be
it.
on the fun side.
Yeah. It never looked like people who play 40K like are like funny about it. They're very serious.
They like painting.
Yeah, you could, because you paint the little things.
I did play the Warhammer MMO for a little bit, but I quit because it wasn't as good as WoW. All right. So we've been discounting the Kate Bush cover, but we have to stop. We have to take it really into account here, because I think doing a serious cover of a pop song in your death metal band is a real mission statement, letter of intent, that you are not an intense, self-serious, super serial metal guy, especially picking a song that is so evocative and plaintive. So.
Yeah, commenting, on the fourth track of the EP, the Kate Bush song. It was obviously a well-known cover of the avant-garde, occasional Peter Gabriel collaborator and original Weird Girl of New Wave. The song, I believe the song is badly needed a metal cover version, and I always appreciate when metal bands do, a non-metal song and cover it. It's eclectic and outrageous, and I like it. I think more of these songs need to be done. More unusual songs need to be done by metal bands. So yeah.
All right, let's talk about the artwork.
Look,
credit goes to. Could you go back?
Oh.
Credit goes to. I'm sorry for this, Adam Ujelhi.
That sounds good.
Apologies. But it's a very beautiful cover. Look at that.
Yeah, this is something like Warhammer. There's like a tank here.
I don't know what's going on, but
there's like a tank crashing through something. This looks like it's probably
there's a book.
There's a book. Yeah. So this is like drawn. This is
Are we casting a spell?
Yeah, I see like guns and big tank guns, and I don't know what's going on. Oh, this looks like the creatures fighting up here.
Are those orcs?
Little Warhammer orcs guys on the tank. It's like a giant, looks like one of those giant tanks that they have. What's the human looking side? Those holy people, because there's this holy people versus these like alien guys on Warhammer. But like the Earth, those human looking people, they have like some sort of religious cult. It looks like they're like almost like the Catholic Church, but they kill people. Well, doesn't the Catholic Church do that anyway? But I don't really understand the whole thing.
This is very busy, very detailed.
Yeah, this is cool.
It's a mess. There's a mess going on here.
It's the kind of thing you need a magnifying glass.
It's very fitting for the
there's
EP.
There's a lot of detail. I like the pictures, like just very intricate, and you kind of have to get a magnifying glass to see what's going on here. Because there's a lot of just little details in here.
It is.
Oh, look at that.
This is the grinding advance.
Oh yeah, because these tanks are coming in. It looks like they're coming in to the orc lair or something, and they're blowing them up with the tanks, which is cool. It's a good feeling to blow up orcs with tanks.
They're colonizing the orcs.
They are. They are. They kind of are. But that's the way it goes.
I don't know about the politics of 40K.
I don't either. I have to look more into this. I don't really know how it works.
Just assuming. Okay. All right, final thoughts.
Yeah. So, overall, this is another example of a one-person do-it-yourself recording that appears, to have limited resources, but lots of great material and ideas. And there's more and more albums like this coming out, especially during the pandemic. I think a lot of people had this is their only option. And, every time, we review one of these, we do fairly, I find that we're doing them somewhat often. I'm convinced more and more that the need for having a full-time studio band is becoming a thing over the past. Obviously, if you want to play live, you're going to have to obviously get some people together. But, it doesn't seem like...
people have been doing this for 30 years, having one-man bands. It's not new.
Sure. Yeah, it's true. Especially the black metal guys in the 90s, they were notorious for having one... But they didn't have, the thing is, they didn't have the home recording ability. They had to really slug it. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what gave you probably a lot of that necro sound. But you have so much resources for a very affordable price available to you, so you can make an album like World Leaders here.
All right. Well, I thought this was awesome. I know we talked about the riffs once. I just want to say the riffs again. The riffs on this are fucking awesome, which is really what you want when you're doing some bolt through or death metal. But you got to stick around for all the weird little flavors that are in there as well. Mm-hmm. So very cool. Go pre-order it, and give a little charity.
Yeah.
And
that's it. So thanks for watching the review. And make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you're informed when our new videos come out. And check us out on social media. That's Here Lies Metal at Instagram. Metalize Here at it's Metalize Here at Instagram. Here Lies Metal at Twitter. and Here Lies Metal at Facebook. Maybe give us an email. Where's our email?
Here Lies Metal.
Here Lies Metal. It's Here Lies Metal. Just Here Lies Metal at Gmail. Yeah, and email us like something terrible. And yeah, so that is the episode for today. Stay tuned for more reviews and more news about things you like. And we'll see you again soon. Have a good night.